everybody. Welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie, Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie, Jessica.
So it's that time again. It's time for us to go over all the books that we read in the past week with 1-minute synopsises of each book. I can't believe the week's already over and it's time to do this again, but let's do this.
But first, make sure, whoa, I'm doing the wrong side this time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're watching the video, hit the subscribe button. We would love you for it. And then also you can be entered to win these books. We're almost to our Road to 1K giveaway. So we'll be giving away all of these books generously donated to our giveaway by Karen Crumpton. They're fabulous books. You definitely want them. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Go tell your friends. The faster we get to 1K, we're like super close, then we can give these away. And then you can also follow us on Instagram for an extra entry.
Yeah. Oh, can I show you what I got in the mail?
Please.
Okay.
I would love nothing more to see your bills.
My bills? Yeah, no, I ignore those. No, I'm kidding. Oh no, can I not get it out? You see it?
Oh.
This is the first edition.
Nice.
Surviving Trace by Callie Reed. She saw that I had said that like this was bucket list, and she sent me some special things this week that we'll talk about later, but this was in what she sent me. Isn't this awesome?
I'm jelly. I have the 3 right here. Oh, you can't. The shelf's too high. I have the current editions. I have sitting next to King of the South, Lady Golden, and the 16th Need. I just need a few more of her books, and she'll have her own shelf.
She pretty much has her own shelf up here because I have a copy of the 2nd edition of those books, and then the 1st edition of just the Surviving Trace, and then the current ones, and then all of them in the King of the South, like those ones, and then Unravel and Figure 8. But I need what are the boys called? What is it? Bradford?
Sloan Brothers.
Sloan Brothers. Why do I want to call them Bradford? I don't know. Anyhow, I need that one. Those ones on my list. I need to read those ones still too. So, but yay! Okay, I just had to show that off for a second. All right, let's get started. So, tell me about your reading week.
I have a lot of other stuff to do. So reading, like I said in a few videos ago, would probably be slowing down for me. So I got 5 books. Don't worry, Goodreads is letting me know that I am falling behind.
Goodreads can be a real jerk sometimes.
So I have 5 books this week. One was the 5-star.
Okay, so we were moving. I was in Seattle a lot this week because we had to move our business from our area down to Seattle, which meant that I got, 4 hours of drive time in, and, I could listen to my audio as we were working. So I got 11 books in, and 3 were 5 stars. All right, so the first book that I read this week was called Forgiving by, and I always mess up her name, Laverlil Spencer, I believe is how you say it. I liked a book that I read of hers last year, and I decided to jump into this one. It is historical. It is Western. It takes place in Deadwood, like right after the boomtown was established in Deadwood. And so this is about Sarah. She goes to Deadwood to look for her sister. She's gotten I almost said an email. She didn't get an email. She got a letter in the mail from her sister saying that she was working for this lady upstairs in her house, and she was cleaning and alluded to that. She hasn't seen her sister in 3 years. So her father has just died. He is he had a newspaper. So she decides she's going to go to Deadwood, find her sister, and start up a printing press. So she does that. But when she gets there, she discovers that her sister is a prostitute. She's working for a madam upstairs in her house of ill repute. And then that's where she also meets Noah, who is the marshal of the town. And these two butt heads from day one. So with it being historical, it is told in 3rd person. I listened to the audio. I still gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. But we get actually 2 love stories. We get the sister's love story and her love story. And we find out why the sister's in the middle of all of this. So that you have like this healing thing with the sisters plus the 2 little love stories. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Mandy, you like brothels?
I know. I'm like, I need to read this.
Yeah. So it is in 3rd person, but a lot of historical is in 3rd person. So, I gave it a solid 4 stars. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
So what was your first book?
Okay, my first book was called If I Only Knew by Corinne Michaels. This is part of the Second Time Around series. It's book number 4. So this is Milo and Danielle's book. So Danielle's husband was killed 18 months ago. And she's been trying to kind of work through all of that. And she decides it's time to go back to work and kind of start living again. So she goes to work for her really good friend's husband, Callum's business. We saw those two in a previous book. And Callum and Milo are brothers. So she's basically taking Milo's job because Milo has flaked off, been doing other things, and he shows up one day ready to claim his job back. But Danielle has it. So Milo sets out to get it back, and Danielle stays firm in her roots that she's going to keep the job. So Callum puts Milo as her assistant. And the two of them go from there. So you kind of have a little bit of like boss employee stuff happening. Definitely have that second chance happening because she also has 2 kids and a teenage daughter that's really giving her a run for her money. So I really enjoyed it. Solid 4 stars.
Okay. Well, for my next one, are you ready to take notes? Because I know you want to read this one.
Okay, I will take notes.
Okay. So I actually listened to the audio of this, but is The Surrogate by Penelope Ward. It just came out this week, so I was really excited to jump into this one. So this one is about Abby and Sigmund, or Sig. He goes by Sig. Sig lost his wife a couple of years prior. She'd had cancer when they met. He lives in the UK. She came to England for treatment from the US, and that is where they met. They were only together for 6 months before he lost her. She'd had cancer for a while, so she froze her eggs. Well, now Sig hasn't dated. He just has one night stands. He just kind of, sleeps with them and boots him out of the house. He's just really closed off at this point. And his in-laws come over and they're like, look, she was our only child. She saved her eggs. We want a piece of her to live on, and we're willing to raise the baby if you're willing to donate. We have a family friend who's already stepped up and said that they will be the surrogate. And so he's really not into this. And he's like, I don't know. I need to meet her. So she comes to England to meet him. They have a really funny meet cute, but they don't necessarily get along because he is so standoffish. He finally decides to go ahead with it. And then she has to come and stay in England. So he gives her a job. So he becomes her boss, but he's also very protective over her. And he can't figure out why. So I gave this 4.75 stars. And that's because I expected it to be more angsty than it was. But I still loved it. It was still great. I just kind of needed a little, I was hoping for a little bit more angst in a book called The Surrogate. That's okay. So you are probably going to love it, but yeah.
I'm almost done with it.
Are you?
I started reading. Yeah, I told you I was reading it.
No, you said you had to finish the book you were reading last night.
Huh?
You didn't tell me that it was The Surrogate. I don't remember hearing you say that it was The Surrogate.
No, I started it earlier this week.
Oh, and you haven't finished it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, well, maybe
I told you I'm having a hard time finding time to read.
I know, it's just pitiful. How dare things. Okay, what's your next book?
Okay, my next read is My Brother's Girl by Sienna Blake. This is about Kaylee. Kaylee's working at this pub in Ireland, and her boss is, let's just call him gross and creepy. And so she ends up just deciding to walk out because he is highly inappropriate. So she just leaves. And she's walking out, kind of figuring out, like, oh dear, what am I going to do with my life now? And she sees this guy getting ready to cross the street and he's about to get hit, and she pulls him back by his coat. That is her and Owen's meet cute. And Owen falls in love the second he looks at her, and he's like, you, Kaylee Bear, are my soulmate. And he is just infatuated all the way in. So he takes her to meet his family, and that is where Kaylee meets Darren. And her and Darren look at each other, and there's like this instant attraction, instant chemistry, and she's just really drawn to him. Well, Darren is Owen's brother. And because Kaylee no longer has a job, and Owen basically is like, hey, Darren, you need help at the garage. Kaylee can come help you. And kind of throws them in each other's orbits. So I was very excited about this book. I've read lots of the books in the Irish Kiss series and I really, really enjoyed them. This book just felt a little short. There was a lot of narration in between dialogue. So somebody would say something and then there's like narration, 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 and then somebody else says something. And I would actually find myself not even remembering what the person was answering back to the other person at times, and it just made it a little too choppy. So it was a 3-star read on Goodreads. Lots of other people have rated it 4s and 5s, so it might work for you. For me, I just found that extra narration a little distracting, and I really wanted to see like more dialogue between the characters. So that was just me, though. Other
but you
people,
love that series, everything you've read.
I do. It just,
really
this book was just a little different from the rest of them that way.
Okay.
So yeah.
All good.
Another
Right.
great example of when one book doesn't work by an author, it doesn't mean the rest won't. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So, okay. So my next read was a little bit of a disappointment. I think I gave it a higher rating than I should have now that I'm looking back at it, but we'll talk about it. So I read Naughty Good Girl by Sapphire Knight. Now this is a novella. It's actually a holiday novella. I didn't really feel the holiday vibes, but okay. And this is about Victoria and Adam. So Victoria's coming home from like college, and her dad takes her to the office and is like, go inside and go see Adam or whatever, Mr. Whoever, because her dad and him are business partners. Come to find out her dad has lost everything because he has a gambling issue and he owes money to the mob. And so Victoria is given to Adam as payment because he paid off this guy's debts. There's a lot packed into this novella. Because you've also got the mafia starts coming in, dad's trying to pull her away. Adam starts out as a hard jerk, and then he all of a sudden he's like a cinnamon roll, and it didn't work for me at all. Like it didn't. I gave it 3.5 stars. I'm sitting here going, that I don't know what I was thinking that day when I gave it 3.5 stars, because it should have been like 2.5 stars. There was nothing wrong with the writing. It was just, did you have to throw all those tropes into a book that's under 200 pages? I don't know. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
It was too much. And like there just wasn't enough plot. There wasn't enough. I don't need all the weird kinky. And then you'd think they'd be having sex from day one, but they didn't. So I don't know. Anyhow.
Okay.
Next.
Okay, my next book is called Unfixable by Tessa Bailey. Timer's not starting. There it goes. This is about Willa and Shane. Willa decides to go, or she wins this trip to Ireland, and it's to stay at this inn. Willa's kind of had a bad home life, so it's just her and her sister. Her sister is married, and so this is kind of like a trip of a lifetime type thing. So she takes her camera and off she goes to Ireland to stay at this inn. And the inn's owner is, what was his name? Shane. Gosh. And Shane is a Formula One racer. His dad has recently passed, and he is back trying to just fix up the inn, get his mom and sister kind of taken care of so they can sell the inn and he can get back to racing. And that's basically all he cares about. And then Willa comes into his orbit and kind of throws all of that off. Willa is trying to kind of discover herself again after a bad breakup because she feels like she really lost her more snarky inner personality. So she's trying to get that independence back. But she's also really falling for Shane. And how does this work when she's just there on a very short-term vacation and he's just there very short-term and wants to get back to traveling with his racing? So I really enjoyed it. It was a 4-star read.
Cool. So the next book I read is one that was a reread. It was a first-time listen, but a reread. And that was The Final Storm by Liz Hamilton. This is the second book in her Storm trilogy. So this is the post-apocalyptic romance that I absolutely love. This kind of picks up just a few months after the last one ends. Our peeps are still trying to outrun the storms. They're living on an island at this point. Things happen, things transpire. It's still this high pace, high energy story where I wouldn't want to live through the apocalypse. Let's just put it that way. We get to see a little more paranormal stuff kind of comes into this a little bit more. I mean, like we saw it in the last book, but it keeps coming in. So this is just a continuation of the same story. Loved it. 5 stars. The audio was great. So you can listen to it now. The third book, the last book in the trilogy, I was talking with Liz earlier this week, should be out. It's on schedule to be out in April. We don't have those dates yet, but we're still thinking April. By we, I mean she's still thinking April, but yeah. Next.
My next book is Chasing River by K.A. Tucker. This is about Amber and River. Amber is from a very small town in Oregon, and she's saved up her money, and she is going on kind of a big traveling bucket list trip. And she has this list of all these things that she wants to do in all these different areas around the world. And so she starts off in Ireland. And while she's doing some sightseeing, all of a sudden this guy like tackles her and saves her from a bomb that goes off. Before she can properly thank him, get his name or anything, he takes off, and the police or the guard come and show up and start asking her questions. And she's like, I really have no idea. And like everything's just kind of a whirlwind in her mind at that moment. Later, she sees somebody wearing a t-shirt that matches a shirt or a hat, I can't remember which one, that the guy who saved her was wearing. And so she finds out it's attached to this pub there. So she goes, and there is her hero. And he did not really want to be found because he's a little bit connected to the bomb that went off.
Oops.
It was very good. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a solid 4 stars.
Mm-hmm.
Really liked it a lot.
Okay. All right.
A lot. Okay.
So the next book that I read is Revenge Era by Brittany Nicole. So this is, I kind of get a feeling that our heroine was a little like Taylor Swift. Maybe it's because of the reference to all the Taylor Swift songs at the beginning of every chapter. But again, this is a novella. It's, under 200 pages. This is about Lake, who's been dating her boyfriend for 2 years. She is like this pop icon, this rock star. And she is, so her boyfriend is the son to her record label owner, the guy that runs her record label. And she's on tour. And she goes after a concert one night, or around, she's at the concert, she goes to find her boyfriend, and she finds him she just finds him cheating on her. We'll put it that way, with her tour manager. So he's cheating on her with another dude. And so what better way to get back at your boyfriend than having relations with his father? So this is obviously age gap. Again, it's novella. I listened to it. It was great. I gave it a solid 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed this one. I loved the way Ford was with Lake. Yeah. And I think it takes place over the holidays. I could be wrong. I can't remember. I think it does. I can't remember. Anyhow, I liked it. I liked Ford. I'd have kept Ford. So Ford's way better than his son. So yeah, a little bit.
All right. My next one is a TikTok sensation.
Oh, good Lord.
It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey.
Oh.
And I was very excited to read this one because it takes place in Westport, Washington, which we grew up not too far from there. I have family there, so I'm very familiar with Westport, frequent there. So I was excited to read this. So let me tell you about it.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. So this is about Piper, and Piper lives in LA. She's a socialite, and her stepfather has a lot of money. So she's 28, has really done nothing with her life but party and post Instagram photos and that sort of thing. Well, she is involved in some situations at a party and gets arrested. And her stepdad is basically just fed up. And he's like, I'm done. I'm fed up. You need to learn what it's like to actually work for your money. And so he sends her to Westport, where her biological dad, who passed away when she was 4, has this like bar. And he's like, you're going to live there in the apartment above the bar, and you're going to run it, and you're going to learn some lessons. So her sister, who she's very close to, goes with her so she doesn't have to do this by herself. And as soon as she gets there, she meets the sea captain, Brendan. And Brendan is living with a lot of pain, guilt, and kind of some self-punishment. And it's their story, how extremely different people can maybe fall in love. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. I'm going to read the next book in the series. Yeah.
Okay. All right. How'd you do
I
with the whole
will
Westport
say,
thing? Okay.
I do sort of understand your Alaska thing a
Yeah,
little bit
see?
after reading this. There was really minor things that honestly, I think the author probably was sort of aware of. Like, you can't just hop a plane out of Westport. Like, like, unless you're flying in a Cessna, like just you and the pilot, your airports are like hours and hours away. And so when people were like, "Oh, I'm going to go to the airport like and fly in and out and stuff," there was no specific timelines given. So that really didn't bother me because I could just kind of let that go because it wasn't like that. But there was one thing, and I won't say what that is because I don't want to like, I mean, her fishing seasons were a little off. I only know this though because I grew up with my dad as a commercial fisherman, and
Yeah,
we
but
have
anybody that
family.
lives here, like I know the seasons. Like we all know it because we all have family that fish. So I guess that's why. But
Yeah. And like I have family that still does this. So
yeah,
it was just a little tiny thing. And I'm like, but you know what? It didn't impact the story or anything like that. I think I'm able to let those things go a little bit more than some people.
I think that as an author, shush. I think authors need to reach out to people. Say, this is what I loved about Pam having beta readers for Alaska. I think if more authors did that and had beta readers that read their book when they're talking about a specific location, then they could avoid these things. Because that would have been something that had someone read it who knew the area. Because if you live in Westport, you know fishing. Let's be honest.
Maybe she did, and maybe
somebody just didn't care.
They had the wrong information, or maybe there was, I don't know.
I just think it's wise. If I was an author, I would do it. But I'm not an author. I'm not doing that. So yay, Tessa. Good for you. Okay. Ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay. So my next one was an arc that I read. It was BJ Alpha's arc. So this was Brutalized. This is the 4th book in her Brutal. Now it's become a series. It was a duet. Now it's a series. But this picks up, at the end of the 3rd book, BJ ripped out my damn heart. And I was willing to forgive her and move forward with that. So that's what I did. I really can't tell you anything because last one ends on such a massive cliffhanger that I don't want to give anything away for what happens in this book. But again, this is a wide choose. This is, there was high stakes in this one. And obviously breeding, because it wouldn't be a BJ Alpha book without breeding. And, yeah, I mean, I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. I will
not be reading it
because it's why I choose. I'm not as angry with BJ. I've kind of gotten over it. Not that I'm saying she made things better. I've gotten a little past that now. A good breeding book will do that for you.
Okay.
Okay. Go read it, guys. Go read it. No, go back. I'm done. Oh, wait. Oh, are you done? Did you talk?
I'm done. You have like a whole bunch of books left.
I do. Okay.
The Jessica Show.
The Jessica Show. Sorry, guys.
Welcome.
Okay, so the next book I read was Finding Solace by Crystal Daniels and Sandy Alvarez. This is the 3rd book in her Kings of Retribution that I listened to a week or 2 ago. This one is about Reed and Mila. So Reed lost part of his leg, his right leg, a few years prior in a car accident that killed his younger brother. And so at the end of the second book, something happens that puts him in the hospital. He has some swelling on his spine, so he's not able to walk right now. And so he's in a wheelchair. So then he goes home from the hospital, and Mila is brought in. She is a nurse, but she's also a single mom to a kindergartner. And so a preschooler kindergarten, but she's brought in to take care of him and be a live-in nurse with him until he gets full use of his lower extremities again. And so he is very gruff. He's very closed off. He's very grumpy, and she not so much. And the little girl is adorable, and it just adds something to the story. So this is MC, obviously. I forgot to put, I said it's part of an MC group. So this is MC. I really enjoy this. It's a fast, fun read. I liked their relationship, and there's some revelations that come about with that relationship too. So solid 4 stars. I listened to the audio. It was we're going to keep going. Okay. So then the next book that I read is Latte Darling by S.J. Tilley. This book, the dirty talk in this book. Oh my God. Okay. So this is an age gap, 21-year age gap romance. This is our heroine, Maddie, goes on a Tinder date. She's got to find a date for her friend's wedding. And so she finds this guy online, and she's got it set up. And so she's going on this blind date. Well, the guy is late, and she's freaking out. And all of a sudden someone comes and stands in front of her table, and she looks up because he's tall, like they all are. And he's like, hey, so are you here to meet this guy? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, well, I'm his dad, and he's not showing up. He lied about his age. She's in her 30s. The boy said that he was in his 20s, and he actually was only 20, and he got in trouble, and the dad took the phone away from him. So anyhow, he's really attracted to Maddie right off the bat. His name is Axel, and he sits down, and they have an impromptu date. So this is an almost boyfriend's dad situation, and I love it.
He takes his 20-year-old son's phone away.
Well, his 20-year-old still lives with him, and he is still paying for things for him. So yes, he did. He took his 20-year-old's phone. It's explained really well in the book. But I love Axel calls her, once they really get going, he calls her Maddie mine. And I just, oh God. But Axel, the dirty talk. I listened to that on the way home yesterday, and then went running to my husband the minute I walked in the door. So I gave it a solid 4 stars. Maybe it's a 4.5.
Okay.
So, okay, ready? Next, I read Falling in Reverse by Julia Wolf. This is actually a bite-up of 2 of her books, but it is in here. So this is about Iris, who is a rock star. She's doesn't have any. She's living in New York. She's really avoided having bodyguards and stuff right now, but she lives a little bit more. She's more of a wild child, I guess we call her. And she runs into Ronan in the park at the beginning. He is our Irish guy. He has an Irish accent. He's from Ireland. And they have this really cute meet cute, but then they lose contact with each other. And because they were supposed to meet up one day, and when she gets back to her apartment, or goes into her apartment that night before they're supposed to meet up, she discovers that someone has broken into her apartment and wrote slurs on her wall in her bedroom and destroyed her apartment. So the owner of her label is like, you need a bodyguard. And that is where Ronan actually comes in again, because he owns a company that does that job. And so this is their story. So she reluctantly has to have Ronan as her bodyguard. Who wouldn't want the hot Irish man in the suit as your bodyguard? So I give it 4 stars. It was lacking in some things. I think Julia Wolf is always a 4-star author for me. It really ever gets higher than that. So it does. It's just her stuff's 4 stars. Okay.
But a 4-star, I will read a 4-star author any day.
Oh yeah, no, there is nothing wrong with it. She's just 4 stars. I enjoy them. They're great palate cleansers. They're great books in between. I haven't found one that hits it out of the park yet. So, I'm not gonna stop. I like her writing. The next book I read is for our Convincing My Bestie series, but Mandy and I did something really different. It was Mandy's idea. It was awesome for this Convincing series. So I'm not going to tell you what it is. You have to watch the video, which comes out later this week. to see what book I read and what I gave it.
Yeah, so check it back on Thursday for that video. I think you guys like it.
I think you're like, I think it's really awesome. Okay. So the last book that I read this week was another ARC that I got. It's He Will Come For Me by Nicole Abrams. So I loved this book so much. This is some of Mandy's and my favorite tropes all rolled into one. This is Mafia-ish, Mafia adjacent. There is some Mafia in it. We have a heroine who has amnesia. So when the book starts out, she has been held captive by someone. We don't know who she's been held captive by. She's been there for a while. She's got sores on her body. She's been like, they didn't feed her. She's emaciated. She is very, very sick when they find her. They've kept her drugged up. And she is rescued at the beginning of the book, or what she thinks is being rescued by someone else who's going to keep her captive. So she keeps saying to herself, my name is Mackenzie. I'm 23 years old. He will come for me. He always comes for me. We don't know who the he is. We don't know any of this, but this is her mantra. And she says it over and over and over again. And so she's rescued by Phoenix, who now she's Phoenix's captive. But Phoenix and her went to a boarding school together and grew up together, like in high school, and they were around each other. But Phoenix has taken over for his dad, and he is a part of the Mafia, or at least he's got some Mafia ties to him. So I give it 5 stars. Loved this book because she's got amnesia. She cannot remember past a certain point. And there's a lot that happens in this book. So it's awesome. And it's out now, so you guys can go read that.
Sounds good.
All right, guys. So that was our reading week.
The Jessica show is wrapping up.
Sorry.
All right. So we are still working on your guys' recommendation video for convincing us to read what you would like us to read. So we've already gotten some responses, so thank you so much. If you haven't told us a book that you think that we should read, please fill out the Google form. If you've already told us one and you've thought of another one, go ahead and add that. We'd like to try and collect as many books as possible, and maybe even turn it into 2 videos if we have enough, but we wanted to give like another week to round those up. So fill out that Google form. It's linked below. We would love to hear from you on that. And then also make sure that you have hit that subscribe button and you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.